Hi, Michael Buffer here, and you are watching Lights Out.
This is Festival Khan for Lights Out, and with me via Zoom, delighted to be joined by Denzel Bentley. Denzel, good afternoon to you, my man. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you, man. How are you?
Very well, thank you for asking, Denzel. Very well, thank you for asking. Denzel, obviously, before we go into the whole your fight a few weeks ago, let's just get your thoughts on this whole ring saga between Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders right now. It seemed as if yesterday that the fight might not have been happening, but we've seen Billy Joe Saunders' Instagram account, so things are looking positive now. What's your thoughts on the whole ring saga issue? You know, whose side do you lean on to in this sort of situation right now?
I don't know. I've heard a few things. I heard they originally agreed to a 24-foot ring, sorry, and he found out that there's a 20-foot ring. So if that's the case, then of course, then obviously you got a side of Billy Joe. When the fight was signed, they agreed to a certain size, and it's come back and it's 4 foot smaller. So he's not wrong in that sense. But if that's not the case and they didn't agree to a ring size and it's a 20-foot ring, then I don't really see the problem. I don't see the problem. The only way I see problem is if they agree to a bigger ring in the beginning, and then they've come up with this. But other than that, Billy Joe wants the ring so he can have his space to move about and have the opportunity to box Canelo. But yeah, it just is what it is, isn't it? I think a 20-foot ring is probably big enough, but of course, a 24-foot ring is much bigger, so you have more space to do that.
When you look at the current situation, one of Billy Joe Saunders' main attributes is his movement. How when he uses the ring, you take that away, it sort of kind of like plays into Canelo's hands. If you was in this situation right now, because this is the biggest fight in his career, if you was in that situation, knowing that your movement is something that you may rely on to perhaps win you the fight, would you be in the same situation as Billy Joe Saunders right now, threatening to leave off the fight?
100%. Joe, he knows his attributes. He needs the ring big enough to suit his attributes. But at the end of the day, it's Canelo showing it. Canelo the boss. So, if he says he wants that, then 9 times out of 10 he's going to get that. I don't think Billy Joe would pull out, but he was threatening to pull out. Just to kind of, just threatening to pull out. Similar to what Chisora done the other week. So I don't think he would have pulled out. And even if he was, they were ready to fly in John Ryder to get in there. So if he pulls out, he misses that opportunity, and he probably could beat him in a 20-foot ring if he uses movement right or whatever size ring. But if he was to pull out, he won't get the opportunity. He misses out on the biggest payday of his career, possibly the biggest opportunity of his career, possibly, and the chance to cause one of the biggest upsets in British boxing history. So if he pulls out, he loses out and all of that. So I don't think he's going to pull out anyway. But he was threatening to, just so he can have his way a little bit, because everything's been in favor of Canelo so far.
Let's say that the ring issue is not sorted and it's not the size that Billy Joe Saunders wants. What do you think he should do, given the fact that it is the biggest fight of his career and he's got opportunity to cause one of the biggest upsets in British boxing history?
I think he should still fight. I don't think he should pull out, because you miss out on all the opportunity. You become less credible. You get put in another big fight. No one's really going to want to work with you because you're difficult, and you're good. Yeah, he's good as well. So if you're a good fighter and you're difficult to work with, promoters ain't really going to want to work unless he's the home fighter every time. But he gets put in another fight to skip you out, because there's bigger names out there that probably ain't as good as you, in my opinion anyway. But I think he should just fight anyway. I think he should fight. I think a 20-foot ring. I saw something that said something like he fought Lemieux in a 20-foot ring. I'm not sure how true that is, but I saw something about he fought David Lemieux in a 20-foot ring, and his movement in that fight was exceptional. So the 20-foot ring is definitely big enough for him to do what he needs to do, if that's the case, if he did fight in a 20-foot ring against Lemieux. So he should just still take the fight anyway.
What are you predicting for Saturday night? Obviously, pending if the fight does go ahead, if it does happen.
I'm predicting a Canelo win, but I think it's going to be a very good fight. I think Billy Joe's going to give him problems, but Canelo's just one of those guys. You just then again, you don't bet against Billy Joe neither because he's passed every test that's been put in front of him. But it's a really tough fight. I think I'm gonna slide to Canelo just because of the kind of run he's on, his dedication to the sport. You know, his ambitions to achieve that greatness beyond this. And I don't think this will be the hardest test of his career. Where I do think that Billy Joe, Canelo was the biggest test for Billy Joe's career. So I think, you know, he's got much bigger things to face down the line, but he can't overlook this because it's not an easy fight. But I'm sliding with Canelo.
Well, listen, hopefully the fight does happen because being a boxing fan, this is the one fight I look forward to for very long. So fingers crossed it does happen. Denzel, it's been obviously over a week now since the defeat to Felix Cash. So firstly, how have you been coping since that defeat? And, you know, what's next for Denzel Bentley?
Yeah, of course, I was down, a bit upset. It was a fight that I literally, honestly believed I could win. You know, just a bit bigger than me and stronger than me on the night, and it showed. I was a bit too reactive to, you know, his pressure. He caused me to make mistakes and capitalize on them. But listen, what can you do, man? I just need to keep moving forward, building forward. I want to get back out straight away. I've made it clear to my team and just want to move on from it, really. And like I've said, hopefully down the line, we both just keep doing well. And, you know, God willing, we both get to world level. We can try and make it again because it's a fight that I believe I can win, in all honesty, despite all the result, you know, the other week. But he done his thing. I got no complaints. I was completely fine. I was fit, healthy, no injuries. It just went the way it went that night.
Denzel, after the fight, a few people over social media noticed a bit of a difference in terms of size between yourself and Felix. Some people said that Felix looked a lot more bigger than you. Your thoughts on that, Denzel?
Yeah, he was bigger than me. He's a big guy, and you know, I can't dispute that he's just one of the guys that are just big at the weight. You know, you get them guys sometimes at every weight class. You get those guys, but I don't think, you know, at the time that wasn't a concern of mine. I just thought it doesn't matter. I spar bigger guys all the time. I've been in with bigger guys. You could say Mark was, you know, a little bit bigger than me. Like, it's just one of those things I don't shy away from. That size doesn't worry me. I wasn't worried about that at the time. So yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just one of them guys that are big at the weight.
Yeah, obviously, you mentioned that at one point when you both do get to world stage, you'd like to do it again. But you know, you've had some big fights over the last 7 months. You've held a British title. You know, I definitely don't think you're going to step back with you. You'll be going to step forward. So, what is next for Denzel Bentley? Still some big fights to be made. Is it a case of get the British outright, or do you still want to keep on going in the direction that you're going in now?
It's a team conversation, really. I just want to keep moving forward, regardless. And I think I've said this a few times that every fight I have, I want to keep moving forward. I know this is a step back and I need to probably have a fight to get back in there. But if it was up to me, I'd have another title fight straight away. You know, I want to be active. I don't want to see, you know, some people take a loss and they just sit out for a whole year. And I don't want to be one of those guys. I'm back in the gym. I'm training. I'm just working towards, still drilling things, working towards getting better. And I just want to keep moving forward from this.
Denzel, what was your thoughts on Chris Eubank Jr.'s return to the ring last Saturday night against Marcus Morrison? What did you make of his performance?
I thought it was I won't be rude, but I thought it was a pointless fight performance kind of thing. Because he could have got him out there in the second round. He hurt him in the second round. And then he stepped off, understanding that he probably wanted to get the rounds in, and that's what he said. But the level he was on compared to Marcus Morrison was different. There was a big gap. There was a big gap, and that's not to say Marcus Morrison is not a good fighter. That Eubank has just been in much, bigger fights with better opponents and stuff. So it was almost like, when you just kind of not take the mix, but you just step off a sparring partner when you hurt them a bit, just to get the rounds in. It was almost like that. So it wasn't really no competition. Marcus Morrison, tried hard to get back in the fight and was, swinging in them shots, trying to put him out. He didn't just shy away. He was hurt a few times, but after he recovered, he came back and tried to give it back to Eubank. So you got to respect that. But I just think in Eubank's case, I don't think that's a fight that's gonna help him knock off the cobwebs or get him mentioned.
Eubank is a fighter in your division. As I mentioned, you're still you're on the right path right now. Is that something you would hope to one day look at? Because he's mentioned the likes of the Kell Brooks and the Liam Williams, but you're obviously a fighter that's in that mix right now that needs to be taken serious and considered seriously. Is that something that you'd be open to, maybe perhaps towards the end of the year or perhaps next year after you can obviously get back in the ring and keep yourself busy as much as him?
You know what? Coming off, like, if I'd have won that fight with Felix, yes, but I've said this before, I'm in no position to say anything right now coming off a loss. I have no position to, call out or say who's I want to fight. I just want to get back to where I was, where I left off, get back to winning ways, keep pushing on. And if these fights come on, then they come on. But I've said this before, I'm in no position to say anyone's name right now, if I'm being honest with you.
Fair enough. Totally understand that. Okay, right, Denzel, anything else you'd like to add before we end the interview?
Yeah, no, man, just stay tuned for the comeback, man. I'm coming back, man. Coming back.
Well, we're looking forward to that comeback, and just keep your head held up high. And once again, Denzel, thank you very much for your time. Giving us your time every time we've asked for it, and stay strong. And it's a little bump in the road, but all faith in you, and hopefully we'll look forward to seeing you back out in the ring as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Denzel Bentley, pleasure as always, and thank you very much for talking to Like That.
Nice one. Take care. Thanks, bro.